Dribbling with the outside of the foot is the most common dribbling technique. It is used when a player is going forward in a straight line, and it is also used when a player has open space in front of them and they are running with the ball at speed. Now let's look at coaching this technique step by step. Step 1. Make sure that the ball is in front of the body, which makes it easier to dribble the ball. Step 2. Bring the dribbling foot forward and turn the foot inwards so that the little toe side of the foot is facing the middle of the ball. Step 3. Dribble the ball by pushing the little toe side of the foot through the middle of the ball. Make sure that the touch is nice and light, keeping the ball close to the body. The only time you will push the ball with a harder touch is when the player has plenty of open space in front of them for them to push the ball into. Step 4. While dribbling, keep the head up with the eyes looking about 2 yards in front of you. This way you can see the ball while you're dribbling, and you can also see the surrounding areas and any opponents that are coming in to get the ball off you. Now let's look at demonstrating this technique to your young players. Now let's look at some common mistakes that young players make when performing this technique and solutions on how to fix them. Common mistake number 1 is that the young player gets the ball tangled up in their feet as they're dribbling the ball. This is because they're standing over the ball as they're dribbling. Make sure that the player has the ball in front of them as they're dribbling so that the ball is clear of their feet and they get a nice clean touch. Common mistake number 2 is that the young player has a heavy touch on the ball and pushes the ball too far ahead of them. This gives the opportunity for the opponent to get possession of the ball. Always remind players to make a nice light touch on the ball, keeping the ball as close to their body as possible. The only time that it is suitable to really push the ball with a heavy touch is when the player has lots of space in front of them. The third common mistake that young players make when they're dribbling the ball is that they push the ball out to the side instead of out in front of them. This happens because the young player pushes the outside of the foot through the side of the ball, which pushes the ball outwards. It is important to remind the young player to push the outside of the foot through the middle of the ball, which pushes the ball out in front of them, making it easier for the next touch. The fourth common mistake that young players make is that when they're dribbling the ball, they have their head down, staring at the ball. When they do this, they're unable to see anything that's happening around them, particularly if an opponent is coming in. They won't realize that the opponent is there until the last moment when it's too late. It is important to remind players that when they're dribbling with the ball, have their head up and have their eyes looking about 2 yards in front of them. That way they can see the ball and see the surrounding area at the same time. This way they can tell if there's an opponent coming in to get the ball off them, or they can also see supporting teammates which they can pass to. The fifth common mistake that young players make when dribbling the ball is that they use their toes to dribble the ball instead of the outside of the foot. Dribbling with the toes makes it very hard to keep the ball nice and close, and quite often the touch is heavy, pushing the ball too far away from the player. It is important to remind players to use the outside of their foot when dribbling the ball, and this is done by bringing the foot inwards so that the little toe side of the foot is facing the middle of the ball. This helps keep the ball nice and close, and it allows the player to have a nice light touch on the ball.